Now that the people have spoken, we in this democracy must all accept that result and deliver on their instructions. I don't resile from any of the concerns I expressed during the campaign, but I fully accept the result of the referendum and will do everything I can to make it work for Britain. It is inevitable, after Thursday's vote, that Britain's economy is going to have to adjust to the new situation we find ourselves in. In the analysis that the Treasury and other independent organisations produced, 3 particular challenges were identified, and I want to say how we meet all 3. First, there is the volatility we have seen and are likely to continue to see in financial markets. Those markets may not have been expecting the referendum result, but the Treasury, the Bank of England and the Financial Conduct Authority have spent the last few months putting in place robust contingency plans for the immediate financial aftermath in the event of this result. We and the PRA have worked systematically with each major financial institution in recent weeks to make sure they were ready to deal with the consequences of a vote to leave. Swap lines were arranged in advance, so the Bank of England is now able to lend in foreign currency if needed. As part of those plans, the bank and we agreed that there would be an immediate statement on Friday morning from the Governor, Mark Carney. And as Mark made clear, the Bank of England stands ready to provide £250 billion of funds through its normal facilities to continue to support banks and the smooth functioning of markets. And we discussed our coordinated response with other major economies in calls on Friday with the finance ministers and central bank governors of the G7. The Governor and I had regular touch with each other over the weekend, and I can say this morning that we have further well thought through contingency plans if they are needed. 72 hours, I've been in contact with fellow European finance ministers, central bank governors, Managing Director of the IMF, the US Treasury Secretary, and the Speaker of the US Congress, as well as the CEOs of some of our major financial institutions, so that collectively we keep a close eye on developments. It will not be plain sailing in the days ahead, but let me be clear, you should not underestimate our resolve. We're prepared for the unexpected, and we are equipped for whatever happens. And we are determined, unlike 8 years ago, Britain's financial system will help our country deal with any shocks and dampen them, not contribute to those shocks or make them worse. Now, the second challenge our analysis identified in advance was the uncertainty that a vote to leave would bring in the coming months and beyond as Britain worked with its European allies to create a new relationship. The Prime Minister has given us time as a country to decide what that relationship should be by delaying the decision to trigger the Article 50 procedure until there is a new Prime Minister in place for the autumn. Only the UK can trigger Article 50, and in my judgment, we should only do that when there is a clear view about what new arrangements we are seeking with our European neighbours. In the meantime, and during the negotiations that will follow, there will be no change to people's rights to travel and work, and to the way our goods and services, or to the way our economy and financial system is regulated. However, it is already evident that as a result of Thursday's decision, some firms are continuing to pause their decisions to invest or to hire people. As I said before the referendum, this will have an impact on the economy and the public finances, and there will need to be action to address that. Given the delay in triggering Article 50 and the Prime Minister's decision to hand over to a successor, it is sensible that decisions on what that action should consist of wait for the OBR to assess the economy in the autumn and for the new Prime Minister to be in place. But no one should doubt our resolve to maintain the fiscal stability we have delivered for this country. And to companies large and small, I would say this: the British economy is fundamentally strong, we are highly competitive, and we are open for business. The third and final challenge I spoke of was that of ensuring that Britain was able to agree a long-term economic relationship with the rest of Europe that provided for the best possible terms of trade in goods and services. Together, my colleagues in the government, in the Conservative Party and in Parliament will have to determine what those terms should be, and will have to negotiate with our European friends and allies to agree them. I intend to take an active part in that debate, for I want this great trading nation of ours to put in place the strongest possible economic links with our European neighbours and with our close friends in North America and the Commonwealth and our important partners like China and India. I do not want Britain to turn its back on Europe or on the rest of the world. We must bring unity of spirit and purpose and condemn hatred and division wherever we see it. Britain is an open and tolerant country, and I will fight with everything I have to keep it so. Today, I am completely focused on the task in hand as Chancellor of the Exchequer to bring stability and reassurance. There have been questions about the future of the Conservative Party, and I will address my role within that in the coming days. In conclusion, the British people have given us their instructions. There is much to do to make it work. We start from a position of hard-won strength. And whatever the undoubted challenges, my colleagues and I are determined to do the best for Britain.
Joel Hills, ITV News. Chancellor, can I just pick up on that? You seem to be suggesting there will not be an emergency budget. Can we be clear on that?
Well, I'm saying there will have to be action to deal with the impact on the public finances, but of course it's perfectly sensible to wait until we have a new Prime Minister to determine what that...
Excuse me, John, on this point. You said that a vote to leave would be irreversible, would cause financial instability and would demand an immediate response from... You're now proposing to delay a response.
Well, what you have seen is an immediate response from government in terms of the financial contingency plans coming into effect, liquidity being available, our international partners in the G7 and elsewhere to provide reassurance about the fundamental strengths, not just the British economy and financial system, but the global financial system. Of course, the economy is going to adjust and there will be an impact on the public finances. That's what I said before the referendum. I don't resolve from anything I said before the referendum, and I said that there would have to be action, actually as it happens, in the autumn to address that. I think it's perfectly sensible to wait until we have a new Prime Minister before we address that. Let's take another question. Ed.
Thank you. Ed Conway from Sky News. Chancellor, you said before the referendum that there was going to be a recession if we voted to leave the EU. Do you stand by that? Do you think we are now at the start of that recession? And secondly, would you serve in a government committed to leaving the EU?
Well, look, let me take the first question. I made a series of predictions, or rather the Treasury made a series of predictions, which I agree with, about the impact on the economy if we voted to leave the EU. And of course, there were a range of impacts depending on the new relationship that we arrive at with the EU, but all of them required adjustment in the economy. After I made that analysis, actually a whole range of independent organisations came up with very similar conclusions. And as I say, I don't resolve on that, but of course I'm going to work very hard to make sure we mitigate the impact, remind people of the fundamental strengths of the British economy. As far as my position and my role, I've got an incredibly important responsibility to people as the Chancellor of the Exchequer to provide stability in these challenging times. And I take a very simple view of life, which is it's my country, right or wrong, and I intend to fulfil my responsibilities to the country. Let's take Chris.
Chris from the Financial Times. Can you give a message to British households or companies who are thinking of delaying spending? What would you say to them? Can they go on as if nothing has happened?
Well, look, what the British people need to know is that the fundamentals of the British economy are strong. We have spent the last 6 years so that Britain is prepared for whatever is thrown at it. There will be a period of economic adjustment because of the decision we've taken but we will get on and implement that decision democratically in our country, but we do so from a position where we have one of the strongest economies in the world, where we have repaired our financial system, where we are repairing our public finances, and where we have record employment. And so people need to know the fundamentals are strong. We have dealt with the immediate challenge of an unexpected vote as far as financial markets are concerned, because we had detailed contingency plans. There will be an adjustment in the months ahead, but I think we are well placed to meet the adjustment. And our message to businesses, large and small, very simple. Britain is open for business. Thank you very much.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.